This is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Now today, for all you space detectives, we've got a few visual puzzles for you to work out. I like puzzles. That's why I do Gigapans. These are often quite a puzzle to put together. And if you can imagine doing a puzzle without having a picture to work from, that's what we're doing here on Mars, okay? Because we're looking at things we don't necessarily know how to fit into other things that we found. This is why I have vast lists and archives, especially in playlists and on my website. So check out the website links below, ArtAlien.tv, okay? Because everything on there is categorized into various groups, and there's at least 10 or so of each thing. There's often 20 or 30 of each thing, i.e. remains or buildings or on each page. Okay, so check that out. Now, this is not my find. This is another plant. This was found in March by Universo JLM, okay? And this is another plant. Just here. This is the color clip. Now, this isn't very big. That's why it doesn't look very clear. This thing is quite small. It's about an inch high from here to here. And I'll show you on the Gigapan here. It's a black and white Gigapan. I haven't colorized it. Colorizing these images does not make them better. It just makes them browner, generally. So that doesn't really help us. So it's not very big. It's not very impressive. But it's very similar to some of the others I showed recently. And this is the other recent one I showed about a week ago. This one here. Now this is really recent. This is Sol 3474, okay? This one here. You can check all these out by following the links in the description to the Gigapans, and on the Gigapans there's links to each video on each of these, and there's also links to different Gigapans as well. There's a color pan of this, okay? There's a link here. So always check the links, because the links will take you on a journey through all the different things related to what I'm showing you. So there's the plant, you can see it there. I'll show you with the magnifier just to make it nice and big for you on the screen. Here it is. It's got a leaf on the top, a stem or part coming down like this. There seems to be like a little rock or something next to it there, which I don't think's attached. And it's got like a little trunk, like a body with an arm, literally a branch coming out with one leaf on it. And it's like this one. This has got a branch with one main sort of leaf on the top here with a couple of smaller ones curled up coming off it there as well. Let's go a bit closer. You can see it's curled at the end, right? So it's got the same one leaf kind of structure with an angle halfway as well. This has got an angle halfway, just there. So this may be the same species. So good work by Universo JLM. Check out that channel. There's a link here to the video. So there's a nice kind of compilation here of some of the plants that I've shown recently. This looks like another one of this species here, which may be one of these, a cactus or a desert succulent, right? Because basically Mars is extremely dry, but there are wet patches where the frost melts and we get drips in the sand. And this area here, even though this is black and white, you can actually see over here, there's lots of wet patches here where we've got these sloping rocks eroded away. A lot of these are probably structures that are ruins as well. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And there's often burials and weird things in between these rocks. And niches, as we've seen before recently, like the doorway. You often see these niches and doors and little chambers which are exposed by the erosion and where the rocks have cracked and fallen apart. And we often get these kind of square little niches. And often they contain things which are interesting. I'll show you more on that in a minute. But you can see wet patches in the sand here, okay? Even though it's black and white, you can see these dark patches like this one, just here. And these are typically where these plants grow, near these wet patches or just above them, and they send runners into them. So this is the archetypal kind of position for one of these things on a slope, right? With a sloping rock above it. So frost would form on this and probably drip down into the sand just below and there we have a little plant, okay? So this may be another one of the same species. The asparagus cactus, I've named it. I named it a couple of years ago, and there we have a number of specimens that match, or at least are very similar, okay? Not the same, because this particular one here, the asparagus cactus, doesn't have a joint halfway, and may be a different species to these. But these two look the same, because they have, even though they're different sizes, they have a single large leaf at the top, and a joint halfway down, and have a similar shape and configuration, okay? So these two look like they could well be the same species. And that says to me that these probably are plants and not wreckage or twisted metal like I suggested they might be, okay? Whether they are buildings or plants or remains, I always try and show other examples, and that's what I always do. So these aren't just one-off finds, so if you're new to this channel, be aware of that I have found hundreds and hundreds of things on the ground, and I often show things that other good channels and researchers have found that match my finds, okay? This is a scientific research operation going on here, a recon mission, and I am trying to categorize and catalogue all these different things together to try and work out what happened, when it happened, and why it happened, okay? So there we are, and this is really close to the Rosetta, what I call the Rosetta Stone concrete structure. I call it the Rosetta Stone because it has 4 levels of construction here. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can see the tool marks on here, diagonal, where it's been plastered or rendered, and we've got different levels of render, okay? And here's a colour clip of that. I showed this recently the other day as well. This is a nice colour clip. So I have shown this before, but this is a different angle of it here. We got it over here. A slightly better angle, I think, because the shadows are a little bit deeper, and we can see more of the shapes and marks like we have here. These tool marks, okay? That is a constructed piece of concrete with 4 level construction, as I've shown before. One of my most important finds, I think. Okay, and it's nice to see it in colour. There we are. But the colour doesn't add detail. I think it actually detracts. So there we are. So that was a nice one. So that was Sol 2471. So that's going back a while. It's not that recent. We're up to 3483. Now this is the latest. Okay, the very latest. And another set of interesting images here. And what we have down here, we got this view of Mount Sharp here. These are the lower slopes of Mount Sharp, and these interesting sort of mounds and stuff. And then down here, we have some concrete. Now, I've shown lots of concrete before, but this is a really good example. Check out Mars Magazine. There's a link down below in the description. 10,000 members now, just turned 10,000 members yesterday, okay? So it's going strong, and we got a lot of active members, okay? So really cool. Now, this is the concrete platform, I called it. Mars platform, concrete section. Or what I should say is it has concrete sections in it here. You can actually see them here. Okay? Look at the shapes here. Look at that parallel part here. We have squares, parallels, rectangles. Another rectangular box kind of part here. Box section there and here. So this is eroded concrete and was probably part of a structure that is now completely ruined and buried. And what I've done here, I've shown you, I've got the whole area here, right? And I've put these markers in to show you the actual symmetry in the ground and in the concrete structures itself, right? That's here. Now look at this one first. Let's get rid of that. You can see in the ground that there are kind of rectangular parts in the ground which are basically concrete, okay? So this was either a floor or something here, some kind of structure, and this, I think, here, when you actually look at what I've done here, you can actually see these shapes. Look at these parallels. There's a box part here and here, and we got angles here, quite finite angles, and obviously evidence of concrete construction with an outer smoother part here, and an inner rougher part, like we often see, okay, with sections going through it. I haven't marked all of them here, but you can see them quite clearly there. So if you look at this, and then do this, you can do this yourself, by the way. You come on, if you follow the links below to this, you can do this yourself, and you can check these out, because these parallel lines and shapes are evidence of construction, okay? And I've had many builders that have come on this site and watched my videos and have confirmed many of the things I've shown recently as concrete construction, okay? You do not need to be a geologist to understand what you're looking at here. I've worked on building sites as well in the past, and I've seen stuff like this in old buildings where we've been knocking them down and stuff. So, you know, this is blatantly concrete construction. You can see what it is. And these lines in the ground, you can see these, there's a kind of cross section here, or at least large areas of concrete. I mean, who knows what these buildings were, but if you look carefully along here, you can see these long strips as well. There looks like to be a strip of concrete here as well, just here. So there was something here. And what we're seeing are very ancient, eroded and buried ruins. Like everything else, it's buried, because you can see where the sand has drifted up here. So this may be as much as 20 feet deep in sand here. It could be even deeper. As I've said before, it could be even like 25, 30 feet or even more in some areas, in these kind of gullies and stuff. And this one is Sol 3480, so this is 3 days earlier. This is near the Mars doorway that I published about 2 weeks ago now. And there's another sort of weird little niche here. Now, Jean Ward also showed this recently as well, so credit to him on this. There's this weird niche. It's not a doorway, but there's something weird in there. Very strange, okay. But what was more interesting in here was that there's some more of this concrete, because I showed you. Now, you can clearly see that there are two parts to this. We have the rough part here, and we have the smooth part here. This is outer render. As I showed you on many videos recently, there's lots of this stuff in the area. In fact, complex, torn apart, ripped, ruined and eroded concrete blocks and structures that have collapsed and are now buried, and we're seeing parts of them. And we can see clearly that there is a different type of material on the outside of this here, okay, which is stuck to this, okay. So that's concrete, that's more concrete. Not a great example of it, but this bit here also looks very interesting. You've got a kind of a box section part there with this weird part sticking out. There's also something else in this image, which is really weird, and it's this here. Now, this may be an optical trick, but it looks like a statue or head or whatever here with a big nose. And I've got close-ups of this as well, which I'm going to show you in a minute, okay. There's also this Gigapan, this is 3478, so that's 2 days further back. More complex, ripped up concrete and metal parts here. Now, this is a bit hard to get your head round when you see it in this image, because it's not been enhanced much, it's just been brightened up. There's also along here, if you follow this ridge, there's a load of weird stuff under here, right, including a box. Now, where's the box? There's the box, just there. Okay, there's a box just there. You can just about make it out. It's rectangular, long rectangular box shape. Now, is that natural? I don't know, but there's a lot of natural stuff here, but also there's a lot of concrete ruins, weird, highly complex stuff going on here. Now, a lot of this may be concretion on metal objects that have actually corroded, okay? Possibly, right? Or it may just be mudstone, a lot of this stuff, with highly complex pebbles and stuff stuck in between it, where it's kind of dried out and solidified and concreted. So a lot of this stuff is concretion, not necessarily concrete. Concrete is unnatural, concretion is natural. But often concretion forms on unnatural objects, especially when we had this area, a lot of this area was flooded at one point as a lake bed, okay? So lots of weird stuff here, but this one, I'll show you some colour clips of that in a second. And this has a very unusual structure to it inside, okay? This is the concrete here with the sections, okay? You can see that on the Gigapan that I showed you, and that's that one. And that's fairly self-explanatory. You can see the flat platform here. You can see the outer render over here. We got like an outer render to it showing there on the out. That's the sort of outer part. And there's a sort of another piece up here, angled part, which is probably something interesting, highly eroded. And we're still not very far here from the Mars doorway. So this is literally probably about 100 feet away from there on the ground. And there's loads of this stuff, as I've said, buried or partially exposed. Okay? Everywhere this stuff. And often it has metal parts sticking out. That plant, here's a close-up of the plant. I'll just show you that briefly. You can see the leaf here. Pretty obvious. That's a leaf kind of structure with a branch part coming down, okay? This I think is a rock, but we have like a part there and some detail here. So it's like a little craggy little stump with a branch coming out of it with a leaf. That's what it is, okay? And there are other examples. Now here's that weird thing I just showed you with a blue filter to show the detail better. Now I don't think this is actually concrete. I think this is a mixture of material that's been concreted. In other words, this was, I think, a metal object. And it has an angled part here, like a triangular part. Here. And if you look inside this triangle part, we've got these weird, like, ribs or little struts going across. And then it's joined to this other kind of very torn up and eroded piece here. I think this is some kind of metal work here. This is wreckage that has concretion on it. And this part in front as well, this looks like metal. All this here, right? All this. This is metal wreckage with concretion. So it's a mixture of material that's concreted in clay and mud and dried out and eroded. And it's highly complex. But look inside here. This is where the interesting part is, I think. Just in there. Look at these fine lines here. So there's some kind of weird material here. And this looks like it may be part of a structure or mechanical object or something. And it's all kind of torn up and corroded. And then there's that one I showed you a minute ago. This may or may not be a statue. It may be a burial mask or something like that. But we've got a head coming round, a big hook nose here, a mouth here, an eye here, and an eye here. Okay? Got a nostril, and it sort of comes to there like that. There's the chin, right? Brow, other brow. So this may be a carving, not sure. Not enough detail to tell either way, I don't know. It may even be an optical trick, this one. And here is another one. Now, this is also Sol 3478. Now, this is the other 3478. This is the masked right. And we have this ridgeline. Now, this is very close to the actual Mars doorway. The Mars doorway is up here on the right. If you follow this ridge up, it goes right up, and the doorway is right smack in the middle of it. So we're near there, okay? We're not very far. And we got this really interesting ridge here with loads of broken up pieces with loads of erosion and detail in here. And there's loads of crazy stuff in the actual material here as well. These weird, what look like bits of wire or something all kind of stuck in the rock. So this may actually be concretion or concrete. There's a load more down here. See that? See these? What are they? Is this rebar? Is this wire? What is it? And I've shown this before. In some areas, it's like in a grid pattern. Are they just cracks? Possibly. Fissures? Who knows? But then there was this in like a little niche. Now, this looks like there may have been a part of a structure around this because we've got a part here, here, and here. So there may have been a little chamber here, rectangular chamber. And this, I think, now I could be wrong, is actually a head in a helmet. Now, I could be wrong, but you've got to really look at it carefully. And others have been found in the area, and we do have burials in the area, exposed burial chambers, doorways, and all sorts of things in the area, as well as concrete and everything else, and plants. There's everything in the area. This, I think, may be an actual head in a large helmet. Now, it doesn't make a lot of sense, okay? And I'm not really sure about this. This may be an optical trick where it's kind of eroded in a funny way and it may look a bit like that. I don't know for sure. But here it is, enhanced, and I've colorized the central part of it here, right? And we have two eyes, a little stubby nose with two nostrils there, a mouth with teeth and a chin. And this looks to be, I think, possibly a burial, an exposed burial of a warrior with a very large helmet that comes up like this, with these winged parts here. And a cheek guard coming down like this. And this is kind of broken or something. The face is kind of sticking out. This is the other cheek guard here. This looks like it's damaged, obviously. Right? And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Now, I could be wrong. But there's something very odd going on here. And I have shown what look like people in helmets on Mars before. Quite a few, actually. Warriors. There's about 10 I've shown. Still wearing their helmets. One of them looks like like an astronaut. The others look like soldiers. Or pilots wearing headgear. Often they have something coming out of their mouth. Now, where I've colorized it, you can actually see there's an eye here and an eye here. But you can actually see that detail in the Gigapan before. I didn't spot this until I put the Gigapan up. And I thought, what the hell is that? You can actually see all that detail there. You can see these teeth. Right? If I go back a bit and use the magnifier, that sometimes helps focus a little bit. Teeth there, row of teeth. Eye there, eye there. Nostrils in the middle. And a chin. But there's something coming out of the mouth, which may be breathing apparatus. Now, I have shown before, and I will put some clips in a second, showing others like this. Okay, so there are lots of these, and they seem to have breathing apparatus as well as a large helmet, or somehow smaller helmets, or masks with what look like breathing gear around the mouth or nose. Okay, I've shown a whole bunch of these before. I'm not making this up. I know it sounds crazy. I know it looks a bit crazy, but a lot of these things have similarities, and they have. You've got teeth here. If I go back, you can see the teeth here. Upper lip there. Nostrils here. Okay. But there's something here, like sticking in the mouth or sticking out of the mouth. Now that may actually be part of the helmet. So the helmet may come around like this, with a chin guard. Who knows? So this may be part of it. So I may redo this and do a different enhanced clip for you, right? So if I take all that away, you can see all these details there. I'm not adding them, they're there. I'm just highlighting them for you. This whole part here looks like a kind of chamber that was in, right? Which is all kind of broken down, the whole thing, right? Now once you've seen that, and then you look at the actual Gigapan, you can compare the two, right? And I could be wrong with this, but it is very similar to others I've shown. Very similar. So there's the colorized one. And there's the black and white one on the Gigapan. So you can see that detail there. I haven't added it. I haven't gone in and edited this in any way, okay? Because you can link to the raw images here. You go up to the top of the page, you can link here. That's a link, that will take you to the raw images. It's there, okay? You might need to brighten it up, but it's there. So there we are. That was it today. A whole mixed bag of things. We got a possible burial, exposed burial, in a sort of the remains of a chamber here. You can actually see the shape of it here, right? A rectangular chamber that's kind of broken down and eroded away. And there may be parts of it further down. And there's another one over here, but this one over here is very strange and unrecognisable. But maybe another one, I don't know. It's very similar. So who knows? This could actually be a carving or part of a statue, or a burial mask rather than an actual helmet. But who knows? I mean, stranger things have been found, and lots of other helmeted beings that I have shown before. Dozens, in fact. Okay? So check out the links below. Check out all this stuff. There'll be links to all these Gigapans. Check out the link to my new website, ArtAlienTV. You can find loads more like this here on that site. And they're all categorized in different groups and stuff. And you'll find loads and loads of things like we have here, all compared to each other. And you can compare the different species and different types of the same thing, okay? And look at the similarities and the differences, and then work out what we're actually looking at here is real, and we are seeing lots of the same type of thing reoccurring in different areas, okay? Which says they must be real, and these must be plants, okay? Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please press that thumbs up. It really helps. And leave a comment if you can. Clips coming up now.